in the city of Sault Ste. Marie. And we have a great community, but sometimes it's not always evident until you have a big event like that. Want to say thank you to the Sault Ste. Marie Police Department, Sault Ste. Marie Fire Department, to the mutual aid support that we got from Sioux Township Fire Department, Dafter Township Fire Department, Bay Mills Township Fire Department, also Chippewa County Central Dispatch and Emergency Management, Chippewa County Sheriff Department and their Victim Services Unit, and the Michigan State Police Fire Investigation Division. With big events like that, there are also some unsung heroes that you don't see that are in the background. We had Kinross EMS and My Michigan Health EMS that helped provide EMS coverage during the event, because we had, I don't know how many of the staff were there, but there were a lot. Yeah. DPW from the city, they work with traffic flow and putting up barricades. Of course, the water department, who makes sure that we have enough flow to work on the fire. We had DTE and Cloverland Electric who had people there. They make sure the firefighters and the neighborhoods remain safe. So it is a team effort, and we certainly appreciate everybody, every part of that effort. And it was amazing to see the Church of Christ and Christopher Columbus Hall, who opened up, and there were countless organizations and citizens who donated items for the firefighters and for the displaced neighborhood residents. It was amazing to see the firefighters come to do their warm-up in Christopher Columbus Hall, and to see all of the food that everybody donated. What a great community we have. It's just simply amazing, and thank you to all the first responders and to the community as a whole. It's a wonderful thing. I wanted to say thank you and congratulations to the I-500 committee. It was a fantastic weekend. Weather was perfect, and weather was good leading up to it. Linda Hoth and the CVB put together a fantastic legislative event. We had 13 or 14 legislators. 15, oh, and so in previous years, this is the third year that we've done the legislative event. In previous years, it would have gone with maybe one or two. I think sometimes they would show up, but this is a coordinated effort to get them to Sault Ste. Marie to see what we do, see what we have, and see what projects we have going forward. Thank you to city administration, engineering, and everybody involved in getting some leaflets out, some brochures to show them where we've been and where we're going. And we really changed the focus a little bit this year to just say thank you to them, because we have our hand out a lot and have had our hand out a lot in the last few years, especially for the carbide dock. And we do appreciate what they've done, and we really have had a ton of success with grants and loans and things going forward. So Sioux Tribe also is very involved and held a legislative event, and they had a nice dinner, and they thanked the legislators as well, and then they have an opportunity to talk about what their needs are, and also to thank them for some of the appropriations, which last year was the top two appropriations for Senator DeMoose were the Lodge of Hope for the tribe and the I-500 projects. So Senator John DeMoose was instrumental in helping to coordinate the 14 other legislators, and we appreciate his help. And certainly without the volunteers, that race could not happen. And I don't want to go through that list that I thank for the fire, but it's pretty much the same list, because every department, I think, within the city is there helping out and working. And Chief had a very nice trailer this year to sit in rather than the building. It was nice to have the Michigan State Police. I don't even know what that trailer is, but it's pretty cool. But thank you to all the entities and everything they have done. Just wanted to make one comment about our neighbor to the north. There's a lot of concern with the Canadians with the tariffs, and they did have a resolution on their city council agenda tonight to talk about standing with Team Canada and shopping local and being local. And I don't blame them at all, and they are very good friends, and we appreciate the relationships. We appreciate the mutual aid agreements that we have, and we stand fast with Canada. But as elected officials, we also swear to uphold the Constitution and all the laws of this federal system and the state, and executive orders are laws, and unless proven otherwise. So we will do our best to advocate and to educate and to help some of this be alleviated. It was really good to see that today at 3 o'clock there was a meeting between both countries' leaders, and they did come to an agreement with some fentanyl protections and some border protections, and so that bought another 30 days, so we'll be able to outreach to our federal legislators and talk to our Canadians. I did have an opportunity to call the mayor of Port Huron today, who is a friend of ours, and we have talked to in times past when we had COVID restrictions that had shut down the border, and we tried to get them reopened. And she and her community are in the same watch and wait stance, and they're trying to find out more information, and we're going to try to work together with them going forward, just to keep the information flowing, I guess it would be. So, but we do, we love our Canadian neighbors, and we are hopeful that everything will work out in the long term. I just had a couple of, every year I kind of look back at our meetings, just for fun, to see some of the good things that we've done. And I know state director, sorry, city manager will go over some of that stuff when we have our goal setting in 2 weeks, on the 17th, I think it is. But I just thought it was interesting in 2024, and I'll skip most of it because it's 3 pages long, but 2024, we had 23 regular scheduled meetings. We had 1 budget meeting, 1 audit review meeting, 1 reorganizational meeting, and 1 Twin Saults meeting with our friends in Sioux, Ontario. And totals 1,752 minutes, which is 29.2 hours. And that makes about a 65-minute average meeting. Ironically, 2023, we met for 1,751 minutes, so only 1 minute difference between the 2 years, which is kind of weird, and it's just by coincidence. But we had a lot of great things that happened last year. In January, we had approved a MDOT Meridian project for $3.3 million, and we're all aware of that project, and it got finished last year. And in February, I'm just picking one of these randomly, the city negotiated a lease extension with the U.S. Corps of Engineers for the Rotary Park Island. Little known fact, I think, that Rotary Park that we have in our parks inventory is actually owned by the Corps of Engineers. In March, we recognized Peyton Blakely as the Firefighter of the Year, which was a nice honor. And we renewed our 2024 legislative principles, which I know we're starting to look at now for this year. In April, we worked on police station bathroom renovations. We did a lot of work with some lift pumps, and got an Eagle grant for lead line replacement. And in May, we had all of our budget work sessions and all of the budget information that we had to run through. In June, we did have our Twin Saults meeting in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario this year. We had a lot of project updates, locks update, IBA update, which is the bridge. And we introduced Dr. David Travis, which is the LSSU president, and that was his first day on the job, and he blessed us by coming there. So in July, we moved the fireworks back to the waterfront, which I think was a big hit, and I think, is that where we're going again this year, or is that out for discussion? Won't ask. Awarded a bid for a new roof on the fire hall. In August, the hire of 3 new police officers, which is a great thing, and the announcement of the speed radar signs that have been installed and are pretty neat. September, we bought some new ambulance cots for $100,000. We got a FEMA Assistance to Firefighter grant for the radios, which was a great initiative by the chief, and partnered with all the other agencies for $666,000 or somewhere in that range. In October, we worked on the city manager contract extension to get it over the holiday season, and then we renewed it for 5 years just this past month. And in November, we had some design and engineering and for the projects coming up in the next year on the wastewater treatment plant and some other various purchases. And then December, we had our second annual meeting at Lake Superior State University, which was is always a great time, and it's a great venue. And we had our annual audit presentation for the year, and it was clean as a whistle. So in 2024, we made 24 appointments to the city's 22 boards and commissions, and we thank every single citizen who volunteers and helps us get that perspective of what we need to do in Sault Ste. Marie. So we will move on into item C, which is public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make any comments on any of our scheduled agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move into item D, which is the consent agenda. Deputy City Manager Robin Troyer. I give you a little pause for a while.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks.
Under the consent agenda, 1, approval of the City Commission meeting minutes of January 20th, 2025. Item 2, acceptance of the Historical Development Commission meeting minutes of November 19th. Item 3, acceptance of the Police Fire Pension Board meeting minutes of October 16th and November 20th. Item 4, acceptance of the Police Fire Pension Board meeting minutes of December 18th. Item 5, acceptance of the Sault Ste. Marie Housing Commission meeting minutes of December 19th. Item 6 is consideration to apply for MDOT Local Area Bridge Program grant funding for fiscal year 2028. Item 7 is consideration of Public Safety Academy Assistance Grant Award. And item 8 is approval of the consent agenda items as presented.
Thank you, Deputy City Manager. Would any commissioner like any of these items removed for individual consideration or more further explained? Seeing none, Commissioner Bauer.
So moved, we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor of consideration and approval, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. So we'll move on into E, special orders of business, and turn it over to City Manager Brian Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up first for commission consideration is a request to schedule a second reading of the proposed set of ordinances in the agenda item titled Chapter 22, Article V, Stormwater Management. Kind of long story short, we don't really have a good mechanism in place to be able to enforce stormwater issues throughout the city. We have a property maintenance code that essentially just says no stagnant water, but we don't really have anything that guides the development or repairs or even the requirement to maintain culverts or drainage systems on private property throughout the city. So the included item was drafted by staff and engineering and DPW. They looked at a lot of different ordinances from some other cities. They kind of borrowed and stole and made this work for our circumstances. If there's any questions, we have to answer it. But this is just scheduling the second reading. So this is the first reading. We'll schedule the second reading for February 17th and then have it for final consideration that night.
Thank you, City Manager. Any questions or comments from the commission? Commissioner Talentino.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think this is long overdue. I mean, we do have a lot of rural areas that do have drainage issues. I'm glad something's finally being put into place to take care of those issues, because a lot of people have in the past kind of drug their feet, so to speak, you know, getting some of these things fixed. We got to remember we've got neighbors to the left and the right of us in most cases too. You know, we don't need to be flooding people out. So I am 110% in support of this, and I'm glad to see this is finally coming down the pike, so to speak.
No pun intended. Anybody else have any questions or comments? I just had a couple of comments, and I talked to City Manager about it a little bit earlier. I just wanted to make sure that we promote this or outreach this so that anybody in the city that has culverts or any type of ditching like this will be aware of it before we pass it. So this won't be taken as any surprise. And then the other thing I would ask and for consideration is that in reading through the policy, or what do we call it, ordinance, If somebody has an existing system that is working very well, but is not up to the code that we would make them build it today, excuse me, I would hope they'd be grandfathered in, so is there some type of verbiage that we can put in? I'm getting the eyeball from the engineer. No, I'm kidding.
that's-
But, you know, if somebody's got a system that's working really well and we pass this, I wouldn't want somebody to look at this and say, oh, no, this is the ordinance. You must replace your existing system even though it's working. So I know that, and I agree with Commissioner Talentino, I think it's great to have, and we've had these issues, I think, especially in Lakeshore area where some of the neighbors have had some culverts that weren't up to standard, but
We can look into it. I mean, the short
Okay.
answer is we can look into it. I'm not sure what the language will look like or anything like that, but we'll look into it before the second reading.
okay. It's just they were pretty specific. I know there's size differences and everything else, but they were talking about the caps at the ends and the round, you know, keepers or whatever they are and everything else. So I'd hate to have them bring it up to code if they didn't have to, so. All right, anybody else have any questions on this topic? Anybody that would like to make this motion? Commissioner Talentino?
Thank you, Your Honor. Motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance to create Chapter 22, Article V, Stormwater Management of the City of Sault Ste. Marie Code and schedule the second reading for February 17th, 2025, City Commission meeting.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously. F is communications. Number 1, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up first for commission consideration and discussion is our annual process with Dial a Ride. Tonight we have the transit supervisor Troy with us. Joe Nolan was going to be in attendance, but he is out sick, so he will probably schedule another time to come in and talk about some other stuff. But this is essentially our annual process that approves the operating plan for Dial a Ride and gives the authority to submit the requests for their funding for their operations. So there's 3 motions: motion to accept the operating plan, motion to approve the proposed budget, and then a motion to approve the resolution of intent to apply for financial assistance. So if there's any questions or any concern, we'd be more than happy to pass that one to Troy and get him up here so he can help you out.
Thank you very much, City Manager. You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. How you guys doing?
Good.
Yes, so we are applying for our funding for fiscal year 26. I think this is my 3rd go around with you guys now for this, and yeah, we proposed an estimated local fund amount of $223,486, which is an increase from last year's $171,079. And last year's budget, the state funds kicked in $165,000 and some change, and this year they're kicking in $132,000, a drop of almost 20%. So that's the reason for the increase there. But that is what we are proposing as far as our operation plan goes. No significant changes there. We're running Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. with 3 on-demand buses, 2 loop routes, and on Saturday we are running 8 to 4 with 1 on-demand bus and a dispatcher with them as well. We are not currently running Sunday. There is hopes amongst the local advisory council that might return, but no, that's not in the budget as of right now.
Thank you.
I'd be happy to
Anybody,
answer
any
any
questions?
questions
Excuse
for
me.
you
Sorry about that. Commissioner Habusta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question, and you mentioned a little bit about, the Sunday operating. Last year when Director Nolan was here, he expressed that Sundays were quite a possibility, and he was getting a lot of feedback about having Sunday. Is that strictly a financial decision, and what would the financial cost be to add in that day? Do you have any idea on that figure?
I want to say it's like $8,000. Don't quote me on that. Joey'd know better, but Joey fell ill this evening, which is why he isn't with us this evening.
No problem. I know that's.
He is coming in 2 weeks, though, if you want to ask.
Okay.
Then he can clear that up for you for sure.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. That was my only question.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Commissioner Rubenstein.
Just a comment that I'll have to abstain for anything related to dollar item on the Community Action Board.
Okay. Anybody else would like to make this motion? Commissioner Marble, there's 3 separate motions.
Motion to accept the operating plan for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Commissioner Marble.
Motion to approve the proposed budget for Dial-A-Ride with $4,034,800 in the proposed revenue and $434,800 in expenses for the 2025 fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025.
Support.
Moved and s-
According to the 434,800
Sure.
Yes.
Moved and
proposed revenue.
supported. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion also passed unanimously. Commissioner Marble, the third and final.
Motion to approve a resolution of intent to apply for the financial assistance for the fiscal year 2026, which begins October 1st, 2025, under Act 51 of Public Acts of 1951, authorizing an application for state financial assistance and appointing Troy Earls and Joe Nolan as the transportation coordinator for all public transportation matters.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion, any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much, Troy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, under F, Communications, number 2, City Manager Chapman.
Hey, Mr. Mayor. Yeah. Up next in communications is a brief message from Linda Hoth regarding their current patronosity campaign for the I-500 project. Linda, you want to come on up?
Just brief?
It's brief.
Just brief? Come on.
Welcome, Linda.
Well, hey, good evening, everybody. See, they give me a hard time every time I come up here.
Set the
Well,
timer.
I have to tell you, Don, I want to thank you, though, for the Friday night was awesome. It was just a great night that we were able to bring in these legislators and be able to talk and give them a time away from Lansing so that they can see more than just, all we ever want is money, money, money. But we do. So I want to let you know, estimated people that were here over the I-5 was 6,580, and I think it's about 1,000 more than last year. And last year we were down about 10% because of the day trippers. They couldn't come in, normally couldn't come in, so they usually came in on snowmobiles from different places. So it was it was not pretty good, it was excellent. I tell you what, the I-500 board and every volunteer, it was amazing. It was the best day. We were cold down on the ice, but when that sun came out, it was perfect. It couldn't have been a more perfect weekend. And I can't say enough about everything everybody did. All the organizations, everybody. I just have not seen it run that smoothly. And it was amazing to see. Well, why I'm here, but the real reason is, as you know, 2.5 years ago, we got a grant from the EDA at $2.5 million for the I-500 area to upgrade it, okay? And we ended up getting, we have to raise 20%, which is $500,000. Well, we raised already $424,000 between some different other grants from the state and then from the Great Lakes Sports Commission. And for the one time only, MACVB had a grant through the state because of the pandemic. So we were able to get dollars, and we had to allocate dollars to that. So, and which we did. But now we have another grant, which we got in record time. In about a week and a half, we worked on it. And the dream team that I have in my office are amazing. When you tell them what you need, where you're going, what you're headed, and they get it done. So we have the Trailhead Pavilion at the I-500 Raceway. The pavilion, we need to raise another $100,000, to get this going. So we did a patronicity grant, and we put in a week and a half. It was put together. It was approved by MEDC and MML. I said, how does that happen? She said, it's the fastest it's ever happened. So it's meant to be. But what we have to do is get the community involved. We gotta raise so much, and they'll match up to 50,000. So I have to tell you right now, we have one $10,000 commitment from somebody outside the city here. And then we got another $10,000 grant from the Holiday Inn Express to go for it. They're going to give us to it. And we know we're going to get those. But we still have to raise more dollars. So I'm asking the community, I'm asking everybody, you see these emails going around, send it to whoever you can. I put my own personal $100, the first $100, and I'm going to say, don't be embarrassed, Mike. But Mike put in $100 too that night. So we've already got it, getting started. And we really need the commitment from the community. This is for you. This is to use that piece of property, year round. Make it usable. Bring in bigger events. I was even talking to the guy from the Owasso Speedway. I said, why don't you do a dirt race up here? It's a 1 mile oval. I said, why don't you do things like, and he goes, oh, they're thinking there's a lot of different things that can happen up there and bring more people in. But what I have here, and I'm going to give to each one of you, is, and we'll make sure it gets sent out to you, which you probably already got, but we'll do it again. Oh, you got it up? Boy, Brian, you're right on top of everything. Okay? This property is owned by the city, remember that, who partnered with the Sioux Convention and Visitors Bureau to get the money. The Raceway Enhancement Project, 2.5 years. We worked hard. And I have to say, Dave Boyle and Tracy Leighton, they have not missed an engineering meeting, which we've already completed and paid for, the CVB has. So know that that's already done and completed. And our first meeting is March 11th. So I want to let you know that with this grant, this is the last thing we need, and we need the community's help. We need to raise this funding. And we're going to have the new pavilion. It's actually going to be a trailhead pavilion, so that it connects to the trails that we're going to be putting in here too. So it's going to be used by everybody, year around, not just a couple weeks in the wintertime. It's going to be an enhancement to this community. So I'm going to give each one of you and one of these. And if you have any questions, do you have any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Commissioner Talentino?
Great job, Linda. Thank you very much. I didn't see this slideshow, but where is the proposed location for this?
You know where the tents are?
Yep.
That's where it's at.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other questions?
What's the website?
SiouxSaintMarie.com, and there will be a pop-up, which you don't, unless you've got Black Pond pop-ups. That'll pop in and say, donate here. SiouxSaintMarie.com, SaultSaintMarie. And there was,
or www.patronicity.com/I500.
I was going to make it easier for him. So I'm going to hand these out, and thank you guys for tonight. Was that short enough?
That was
Oh, and by the
excellent.
way, there'll be more electricity being put into the, down in the bottom too, so.
We're going to consume more. Thank you, Linda. I know I said it earlier, but you do a great job. And it really, when we talk about that legislative event, it's worth noting that we had, I think he's the number 2 person from MEDC, is Brad?
Yeah.
Or he's in the hierarchy anyway, and then 3 or 4 other people from MEDC. And I know that Nikki Radke took them on tours of some of the projects that we have downtown and that you have worked so hard to get across the finish line. And I know that Linda met with them, and I know that Brian and I met with them, and those contacts are invaluable. to have, and MEDC has been a wonderful partner with City of Sault Ste. Marie, as have most of the state entities, so we appreciate that. And Mike Heiss kind of beat me out of trying to be the first one to give Linda some money because he ran right up with his money, so congratulations and thank you for that donation, Mike.
Yes,
And,
yes, thank you.
Yeah,
One last-
Go ahead.
One last thing.
Yeah.
Lindsay Clark with
Yes.
MEDC was instrumental in getting us going that fast and getting that grant.
Yeah, it was amazing. We hadn't even heard that she was applying, and she announced that we had it, so that's the way Linda operates. And just one more thing about the I-500. If you weren't there and didn't see it, it was really cool to see a NASCAR vehicle as the pace sled, and they had studded tires. It was really something else to see that go around the track. So it really was a great race, and thanks and kudos to everybody involved with the race. Thank you very much, Linda. So under F, Communications, moving into number 3, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission information is a update on a project with Cloverland. Mike, if you want to start coming up. So Mike Heiss, CEO of Cloverland, has got this idea that's just crazy enough to work here. Mike's going to give some information about it. I'm going to follow up with some action that we're going to take afterwards. But it's something that's big enough, and I think it's kind of innovative, and it's going to have a real big impact. And I want Mike to kind of present some of the information to the commission, to the public, because I think it's a significant enough project. I think it's going to have a little bit of transformative effect if everything comes through with it. So there's a lot of different things that Mike's trying to pull into this type of project. So it's something that I'm excited about. I think it's something that the commission should be excited about, and I think you will be excited about once we kind of, Mike gets into a little bit more of his information here. So Bonnie, if you want to throw my screen up on the TV, please.
Welcome, Mike.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. First off, thanks for having me here tonight. Definitely to city manager's point, right, there's a fine line between creative and crazy. But I appreciate my board's ability to listen to some of my crazy ideas, and I thank both the honorable mayor and the city manager for working with me here today, because I'm pretty passionate about, making sure, much like you guys are, that your folks go home every night, right? And so to me, one of the things that's key is safety and training for our staff. So what I'm proposing today, and one of the things we're moving and getting good traction on, is the creation of a technology and training center here at Cloverland. So if you look at the first slide there, these are pictures I borrowed from another cooperative that is doing something very similar. So what we're kind of looking at is building kind of an indoor, if you will, training center, first and foremost, which would mimic real life. And when you look at that, again, when you think about it, where we stand here in the UP, definitely a unique world. When we look at safety and training for our folks, typically we have a very short construction window, but very long winter window. And so to me, if we have the opportunity where we can get some of that training done when it's not snowing outside, or when it is snowing outside, when it's not, then they can get to work. So a lot of the things we're looking at is creating that mock environment, if you will, where our folks can actually train, in a real life situation, when it's safe and when the winter is with us, provides a good situation for us. So if you go to the next slide, so kind of walking through, so what does this do for Cloverland? What does this do for the area up here? So from our perspective, again, when you look at this having an indoor arena, it provides us the ability off season, if you will, to be able to train our folks. One of the things, we had a conversation with some of our linemen. I try to go talk to each office every so often, and one of them said, boy, you know what? It's odd because, like, if we're out in Detour, we don't do three-phase services, not like they do here in the main city. But we never actually practice it, right? We don't get the ability to practice. So when you look at those pictures, right, they have the ability in a real life situation to practice it, but not in a situation where we put them in harm's way. So it gives a great opportunity to train and do things that we typically normally don't get to do. The other part is, again, with Cloverland's commitment to community, when you look through, we've worked with the local schools. They're very excited about this because not everybody wants to go to college. So I think if we can integrate this with the high school programs and start saying, look, you can have a very good, respectable job, not going to college, and stay right here where you grew up. And so when you start thinking about the opportunities you have from an educational standpoint, working closely with the schools, I think is a great opportunity. And much like the mayor said at the beginning, there's a lot of times where we're interactive with police, fire as well too. So have the ability where you can actually work on something, show people something that is not energized. It has a great opportunity for learning as well too, not just for Cloverland, but others. I think it would be a great opportunity for our members. You know, we used to have events here in Sault Ste. Marie, though some of them have been put on hold many, many years ago, but it would be good to bring those back. An annual meeting where you could actually sit and look in there. I think that would be a great backdrop for our members during our annual meeting as well too. Think about Engineers Day, right? I mean, I think would be a great opportunity to showcase what we can do, what is being done up here in a live situation. So I think it provides a good opportunity for that as well too. And it provides a great business stream, if you will, too, through collaboration. We've already talked to our transmission provider. We provide a lot of their work here in the UP. Powerline Supply is one of the largest providers of the actual material. They are extremely interested. They had a big share in the creation of the one that Wolverine uses down south in the Cadillac area. But theirs is an indoor, doesn't have what we're looking at here. It's a much larger facility we're looking at. We've talked to other munis, co-ops. There's a thirst for knowledge out there, especially here in the UP. When you start thinking about Michigan, the Joint Action Agency that we use has like 2 folks that do all of the state. And so unfortunately, if it's your turn in the barrel, if they show up and you're not ready or you have a snow day, they move on to the next customer. And to me, that's not good for our crews. So to me, this is a great way, I think, of broadening it to provide a lot of support. There's a lot of interest from those munis and co-ops we've talked to here in the UP. And we have full support of all the broadband providers. We've talked to Highline, PFN, Hiawatha, so they're all very supportive of not only just using this from the electric perspective, but think about the other piece that's really big up here now is the broadband, the internet. There's a lot of need for those as well too. So when you look at it, what are some of the benefits from us? Personally, those are some good benefits and good benefits for the area. On the next slide, then I just threw together kind of it's like that field of dreams. Once you build it, all kinds of things can come from it. So just brainstorming with some of our folks, again, once it's indoors, I think it's a great opportunity for a showcase. I know there's a bit of change in DC, but renewable energy is still going to be here to stay. So you look at it and just say, I think this is a great opportunity. One of the things we'd love to do, since we have some acreage there, is do a small community solar right on the property so that we can show how community solar can work with a building and then have it as part of a showcase as well too. So again, there's a lot of good opportunities from the kind of the living laboratory. Again, fiber optic, like we just mentioned. I think there's a lot of state dollars out there for education. So not only I think, it'd be good to start looking for the funds capitally, but I think there's also a lot of funds that can provide scholarships and other things as well too. We've been dabbling a little bit in the data mining. We have a couple miners up here. It doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere. You're going to have AI and these crypto things you hear all the time. We're using it as a learning tool, but there could be an opportunity where maybe we can capitalize on some of that. When you talk to some of our linemen, they're pretty happy. They're saying, gosh, well, maybe we could start looking at testing our own rubber goods that we send out. They're electricians. We've talked to other folks that say it's really hard to find an electrician. So again, it's not just what Cloverland needs, but finding a way that we can partner all together and really provide what the area needs. And again, one of the things that we'll talk next about is then a partnership with LSSU, right? So if we can create that living laboratory, when you look at it, we're a very unique cooperative. Not many can say that they are what we are. We have a hydro facility. Not many have that. We've already put a few solar farm in Pickford out there, the data centers. We've also got a couple grants for battery chargers here in the UP. One of them will be a unique one where actually we'll have a battery we can discharge during a peak if we need it. So again, there's a lot of things I think we're doing that are great. We're looking at a combined heat power facility, some battery storage, maybe come in our future, and landfill gas. So when you think about creating that microgrid, I think it provides a good living laboratory. So when we look at, and we've been fortunate to be able to meet with the new president at LSSU. He's pretty excited. Just some of the things we've been doing from an AI perspective. We're using AI right now to project our peaks into the future so we can run our generation to save money. And so when we've had conversations, we're like, we would love to expand that into curriculum over at LSSU. When I graduated many, many moons ago, electrical engineers were in buckets of power engineers, and you had not quite the internet at that point. And now they merged it all, and I'd love to get back to where it was before, because energy, I mean, look at your phone, anytime you swipe anything, you're talking about nuclear, solar, energy is a huge topic right now. And I think if we could maybe help LSSU bring that to the forefront, think about creating programs, I think it would provide something special that if a student today is looking at their future and goes, well, if I can be in Florida or Sault Ste. Marie, what would make me want to come up there? Well, I think a good curriculum, a good opportunity, I think could provide that benefit, if you will. So again, just a list of all kinds of things I think we could do there with LSSU. And then at the end, how does this really fit into the benefit for the city? Again, I think it's a strong program. We have a lot of support for it. Again, our hope would be to work with LSSU, provide a program, look for those scholarship opportunities as well. I think, understanding that now you'd be having folks travel if we were doing lineman training for Alger Delta. They're looking for help. Other folks within the state as well. They're going to send folks up here. They'll be staying in the hotels. They'll be eating at our restaurants. So when you start thinking about what a year-round facility could do for us up here, it just provides more opportunity. We've also been working with a couple larger national partners. Love to put a big brand name on it that would bring other folks up here to be able to use this as a place to say, how does battery storage work up in the UP? When it's really cold out, how does that work? And I think there are potential partnerships out there that, again, with the right branded name on it, could even push it to the next level as well, too. And talking to others, there are funds right now that are being freed up at the state in different unique type of programs. So again, we can build it. Then the other part I think will be good as well, too, is having state funds that can actually help provide those scholarships and really provide the programs there as well, too. And again, this is just the beginning. If you think about it, some of my folks have been, well, what about CDL training? So when you look at it, you can say, look, there's just, I think, a whole host of, once you provide the venue, we can find the solutions to get there. So I appreciate you listening to me today.
Yeah, and even from our standpoint, I mean, we have a huge gap with our CDL training that we've been looking for a resource. I mean, it's a great project, it's a great opportunity for Cloverland, but there's some stuff that's really going to piggyback, and we'll be able to take advantage of it too. So, kind of moving forward, the kind of the big ask that Mike's looking for is some of the property up in the industrial airport area. There's about 4 pieces of property up there that's not sold right now. We'd look to move those to them as soon as possible. We want to support this project any way we can too, so any kind of support that we can get. We've been kind of quiet about this for the time being, so I mean, we want to turn loose Nikki and the EDC to see what kind of support could be there to try to help this out. So we really kind of want to prop this up and make this work and be as successful as it can be for Cloverland. So those are just some of the things that we're kind of working on. So we're going to push this through with Mike. We're going to be the supporters, cheerleaders for this. We're doing what we can so we can get this through. So if there's any other questions.
Anybody have any questions for Mike or city manager? Commissioner Abusta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Over the years, we've sent several students from our community down to Alpena for training and certificates. And would this program then essentially provide that same training?
It could
for
have the
future
potential.
students?
I mean,
Okay.
initially probably not, because they have certified trainers.
Okay.
But ultimately down the road, if it became something that we could, I'm sure, work with LSSU has certification programs, we could work with Alpena. We've already talked to, I think they're called Motor City Electric out of Detroit, to maybe utilize their broadband, that maybe could be brought up here as well too. So we could look at many different ways of leveraging the facility once it's built.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Anybody else? Commissioner Talentino?
Thank you, Your Honor. No, this ticked a lot of boxes for me. I think this is a great idea. I fully, support it 110%. I like the idea of the CDL training, like the city manager spoke about. Anything that has to do with trades, I'm a fan of. Okay, that's not a hidden secret. So, yeah, great job. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're bringing to us. Thank you.
Anybody else? Commissioner Marvel?
I just want to say I think it's a great idea. I think our community needs it. Not everybody is college bound. A lot of people are more for the trades. So I'm 110, like Commissioner Talentino, behind it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Certainly, we appreciate Cloverland and all the efforts. And Mike, every time I hear you speak, I realize how little I know about the electric industry. And I'm thankful that there are people like you that are there. You're innovative and have remarkable creativity. So thank you, and I think as Commissioner Talentino said, this will tick off a lot of those boxes that we're looking for, the partnerships with Lake Superior State University, learning and expanding Cloverland. Whenever I deal with people on the western side of Manistee, the extent of your area, I'm shocked at how high the electric rates are over there. So every day we're thankful for the cooperative and keeping our rates down, and we really do appreciate Cloverland. I want to thank, too, John Saruk, one of your board members, for being in the audience, and John probably doesn't remember it, but he was my teacher back in high school. Shop. And you don't remember it because I was a good kid, not a bad kid. Yeah. Well, we look forward to learning more about the cooperation with the city. So we will move into now item G, business items number 1, City Manager Chapman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a request to authorize a contract with the Chippewa County for animal control removal services. The current contract expired December 31st, 2024. This would be the successor contract that goes in place until 2026. For the most part, the prices are close to being the same, hasn't increased too much. So we would look for a motion to authorize the contract as presented.
Thank you, City Manager. Any questions, comments? Who would like to make that motion? Commissioner Rubenstein.
Motion to authorize the city manager to sign the animal control contract renewal as presented.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Any questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. G, business items number 2, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Following up from the last commission meeting, there was some discussion regarding the itinerant merchant peddler's license fees. In the agenda item, we have presented the first option, in which what we recommended for the first meeting, based on some feedback from the city commission at their last meeting. We increased the rates accordingly, which is presented as option number 2. We did include in the analysis the number of permits that we typically sell on an annual basis. It's really not a whole lot, but based on the feedback we have from the commission, we would recommend a motion to adopt option number 2 as presented.
Thank you, City Manager. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Hubosta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question for the city manager. I'm struggling to see a formula that was used for these increases there just doesn't seem to be a formula pattern. Was there a certain formula or equation you used when you developed those rates, or were they just kind of?
The first one went up $5, the second one went up $10. C went up $25, and D went up $30.
Yeah, I can do that math, but there's no formula you use. In other words, how? And I guess I don't find humor in it, because we're dealing with our citizens and you know, rates and fees and things like that. There's no. You didn't have a formula to increase. How did you decide 25 for one? How did you decide 10 for one? It seems to me if a weekly rate was going to go up a certain percentage, say 10%, then the monthly rate would only go up 8%. The annual rate would go up 7%. It seems to me like there's no specific pattern for that increase. It was just at whim, or just did you just select these numbers, which is fine. I'm trying to understand how they came up with.
A little bit based off of the feedback we received from the commission, that the way we interpret it was that there should be a little bit of escalation for a little bit longer permit. It's not a whole lot of permits that we typically sell. I mean, last year was 8 permits. There's 3 daily ones, 2 monthly, and 3 annuals. Not really having a whole lot or rhyme or reason is kind of conducive to just we don't have a lot of these permits, but the increases are working off of numbers that have been in place for years. I couldn't tell you how they originated from, 10, 15, 20 years ago, whenever they became on the books. And so based on the feedback we received, we went up kind of in a pattern that way.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yeah, I think at the time that I was the one that brought that up, that it was the same daily, weekly escalations also for monthly versus annually. I don't think we necessarily need a formula that we can graph or such. And the reason I say that is if you think about the grocery store, I mean, you're buying, the 24 pieces of cheese for this amount and, 48 for that amount isn't necessarily going to be double what the 24 is. And there's not, there doesn't really have to be a specific reason for the exact number. Because if they had done it that way, Commissioner Habusta, then the increases wouldn't be in $5 increments. They would be, rounded off to, or not even rounded off, but, so many odd cents, et cetera. For instance, I mean, if there's a $5 increase for the daily, then over the week, you might see at that point a $35 increase in that instead of just a $10, and that wouldn't be right because by the time you get to the annual, and I'm not saying that you necessarily said that it would have to be that way specifically, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. Like, if you're doing it daily and it's $5, then what number are you going to put on the annual? Certainly not $1,500 or what on something that's only $500 now. And secondly, I mean, we didn't even sell any weekly permits last year, so at this point, it's really just theory. I don't mean to laugh, because I know you said don't laugh, but, it's theory. It doesn't even, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, because it does, because what if somebody does want a weekly permit? So then it matters very much, especially for this person who's out there trying to make a living, right? But do you understand what I'm saying, though, about how we don't necessarily, and I don't even think it's possible to have, an incremental increase from daily to weekly to monthly to annually and have it be both fair and round?
Mr. Abusta.
Thank you, and, Mr. Mayor. And just in response, and I won't get into the back and forth, I would just say this. Well, the shopper may not understand the formula, why a 24 piece of cheese is one price and 48 is another. I guarantee you that the person who is selling the cheese, the company, they priced it that way specifically for a reason. So I would just say that they've understood and know why that they're pricing it that way, and I think that's important to recognize. I'm fine with moving forward with it, but I think that down the road, it's, formulas are important to look at when we're pricing things, and I would just add that.
All right, thank you. Any, pardon? Can you come back? Commissioner Bauer.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because I was the one that brought it up to begin with, so I was the one that wanted to make the motion that we approve option 2.
Support?
Been motion and support to approve option 2. Are there any other questions or comments from commissioners? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very
Can I
much.
say one other thing?
Yeah, sure.
And this is directed specifically at Commissioner Abusta, that I do want to say that even though I took an opposing stance to a degree, I think your comments are very valid.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into, item passed unanimously. We'll move into item G, business items number 3. City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next is the request to go into closed session regarding, or for permissible purposes as outlined in Section 8C of the State of Michigan Open Meetings Act. At the end of the meeting, we will not be coming back into, what's it called, open session. Going to closed and be done for the evening.
Do we have a motion to move into a closed session at the end of the meeting? Commissioner Rubenstein.
Motion to move into closed session at the close of the meeting.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion and support. Any questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll be moving into closed session at the conclusion of our meeting. Motion passed unanimously. Item H is city manager announcements and updates. It looks like a few on here.
Just a few. So the commission, as well as staff within the organization, been allowed to call about snowbank removal. We are aware of some of the challenges that the snowbanks have presented. This will probably be a little bit lengthier update, but the crews came in over this past weekend and managed to hammer a lot of the banks throughout the city. They've been working upwards of 15, 16 hours a day trying to maintain the roads, some of the sidewalks that we do, as well as pulling those banks. So we are out and about trying to pull those banks and make them a little bit smaller so the roads are less constrictive. We'll kind of keep you updated as we move forward with that. Kind of in that same vein, there were some concerns expressed on Ridge Street. We were talking about doing a temporary traffic control order to keep that area clean, but staff was able to get out there and clean some of those areas. So we won't be doing the temporary TCO on that one. We'll just keep up with the snowbank removal. Just as a quick FYI, we have a bond call on Wednesday for some of the wastewater treatment plant and water distribution systems upgrade. We, finance staff and I met with our bond council this afternoon to kind of prepare for the call. Their kind of rough estimate of where it would fall at in terms of analysis and a score kind of indicates we'll be where we were in the past, so going to come out pretty good on that one. And then just as a reminder, the annual police and fire pension meeting, there is an invite to the commission. It's not a joint meeting, but you are more than happy to participate or sit in the meeting. February 19th at 8 a.m., that is when the actuarials present kind of the annual status of the police and fire pension in terms of where we're at, in terms of funding levels and investments and all that fun stuff. So 8 a.m., February 19th, be a good time. Other than that, I don't have anything else right now.
Is that meeting here? In the
Great
chambers?
question. No, second floor conference room.
Okay. Any questions for the city manager on his report or any other things? Thank you, city manager. We'll go to item I, which is matters presented by the public. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make any comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move into item J, which is matters presented by the city commission. Commissioners, Commissioner Hubusta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm wondering if we can just have an update on the hood project at the Polar.
The Polar Hood project is moving along. So what happened with that was we had some plans that were submitted to the state. They were approved. The contractor built according to the plans. During that time, there's a little bit of changes, so we had to resubmit the plans and get them re-approved. To date, the work is done. The plans have been approved, but the inspector has not approved the work. He came out and did the inspection and said that there were some things that were wrong, to which we pointed out that they're based on the approved plans that we sent to the state. So there was some back and forth there. So as of today, the revised plan review to satisfy the inspector for the hood was submitted January 22nd, 2025. The state plan reviewer indicated it would be fast-tracked, so waiting its completion. Coordinating with the inspector to ensure a plan review is approved before ordering materials. There's a little bit of work that we have to do based on the inspector's kind of preference for this particular project. But in the meantime, the dormer has been completed and will be installed as soon as the conditions allow for safe placement. So in short, we designed it, we got it approved, we built it based on those designs, and the inspector said he would prefer it some other way. So we are caught in a back and forward between the state inspector at this time.
Thank you.
Somebody above him?
We've been looking.
Okay. It's been a long time. I think we've been waiting for that inspector, haven't we, for months?
Well, it's not even, at this point, it's not even that, it's not that hasn't came out yet. He came out and said that we had to change some of the work that we already did. And we told him that the work we did was based on the site plan review that was approved. If there was issues with that, that should have been brought up during that time, to which we could coordinate. But instead, we had the approval for the design specs that said that's good to go. We built it to that, and then the inspector said that that's not okay.
We did have 15 legislators in town this weekend. We could- We'll set Linda Hoth on the inspector, maybe.
But,
Yeah, that's unacceptable. We need to push that through.
and we've been working on that. I mean, we
Okay.
haven't just been sitting there. We've been actively pushing that, trying it with the state. I know, the engineers, UPEA, they've been kind of pushing that hard too at the state level too. So I mean, it's being worked on.
All right, anybody else? Any other commissioners? Commissioner Bauer.
Your Honor, 3 minutes early, or 3 minutes earlier than our normal time, I move that we adjourn this meeting and enter closed session.
Moved and supported that we adjourn this meeting and move into closed session. Everybody in favor say aye. Aye.